Hello coaches and welcome to another edition of Give and Go Live. My name's David Newberry, I'm the e-learning coordinator and I'm joined by my co-host Ian Barker. Hi Ian.
Hi David, pleasure to be here.
Great, and so today's topic is 3 versus 2 to 2 versus 1, attacking and defending. And as we can see on the first slide, we have two teams. Each team is set up with players behind the goals. And also with the white team, they have 3 players in attack that bring the ball on. So we have 1, 2, 3 white players coming in with the ball, and they are defended by 2 blue players. So as the white players enter the field, the 2 blue players come forward and defend with the goalkeeper 3 versus essentially 4 players if we include the goalkeeper for the white team. So Ian, let's talk about the methods on this particular activity.
Yeah, many great things I like about this activity. Just for clarity for the audience, for the purposes of the way we've set this up, the blue team will always be the 2, and the white team will always have the 3 as the sequence goes through. But the first thing to look at is as this white player dribbles the ball out, how quickly can his or her support players get into advanced positions to create a logical attack? What we want is to make sure is that this player and this player get forward quickly, because the player in possession does have the goalkeeper as an outlet should there be any kind of problems. The challenge for the 2 and the goalkeeper is how to effectively defend a numbers down situation. So the question then becomes is when is it appropriate for blue to press the ball, help cover the ball, and maybe try to keep play predictable on one side or the other, with the goalkeeper communicating information too, so that he or she knows at least which side of the goal the shot is likely to come from. So there's a ton of technical and tactical aspects to this high energy and high impact activity.
And I think it's worth mentioning here, Ian, that the expectation is that attacks will last anywhere between 3 to 7 seconds, so that the turnover of players is pretty frequent, and the high intensity means that we've got lots of engagement of many players during the course of the session. So the second sequence, if you recall, we had the white team attacking. Now what happens, the 2 players on the white team that did not take the shot, they leave the field from the nearest point, and the player that did take the shot, the white player, now has to recover into a defensive position, because as soon as a shot occurs, one of the teammates on blue passes the ball in, and the 2 players that were defending are now attacking 2 versus 1. Or 3 versus 2 if we count the goalkeeper. So Ian, what have we got here in terms of methods?
Yeah, so a number of things I quite like. What I really like is right now with the game condition that the shooter must become the defender, is there's immediate recovery if he or she is engaged and the other 2 players know to get off the field. We could make it that any one of the white players can become the defender, and then we add in some communication in terms of defending, because one of them has to identify they're going to stay on and the other 2 have to react to that. So there's some variations there. But what I really like is the incentive for the 2 blues and the goalkeeper to offend effectively, and then they're allowed to counterattack. Getting the ball in quickly from the spare player means that width and length in the attack to expose the one defender is a high priority. And so in this quite nice little illustration, you can see immediate restart, width, length, 1 recovery defender, the 2 versus 1 is taken advantage of, and a shot, and a successful shot in this case, is taken at goal. So a really nice little flow to this one.
Thanks, Ian. So the third sequence is a continuation of the activity. We now have the 2 blue attackers who have just left the field at the nearest point. And now we have 3 new white players that are coming in with the ball. A little overlap run here. So the 3 players are coming on. Again, the whites are the 3 attackers. And as before in the first sequence, we have 2 blues that are coming out to meet them as defenders. So Ian, the final sequence and methods.
Sure. So the way this is diagrammed is the way that most of our youth activities happen, where we have one team coming from one end, and essentially there's a large confrontation of players. And that's fine, and that's a great way to get this activity going. However, what we know in the real game is that the game has much more depth, where lines of players are sorted around each other. So one of the suggestions here would be is now you start to have other stations, perhaps on the halfway line, where players can come in from. And maybe we start putting attacking players, so a white at this end line and a blue at this end line, so that you get new shapes, so that when the ball is reintroduced, players are coming from different angles and different positions. This will add a lot more realism and shape to the game. I wouldn't start like that, but after a while, I would start looking at these different starting positions as a key for tactical realism.
Now, it might be worth mentioning here, if we are starting with a white attacker coming from the goal, that it is important for that white attacker to maintain an onside position. So if the blue defenders are playing high as they are in this situation, then it's important that the white attacker striker does recover back so that they remain in an onside position. And of course, we can bring in on both sides of the field some officials, linesmen. So Ian, that's all we have time for this particular Give and Go activity. So thanks coaches for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Give and Go.